Yesterday we spoke about the differences that we find in the first paragraph of Shema and the second paragraph. Briefly, let's go over them, because we said today we're going to give the explanation. And unfortunately, we're still in Golus, so we have to discuss it further. So in Vahafta, the love of Hashem is professed with Levavcha, Nafshecha, Moedecha, your heart, your soul, your might. In Vahayim Shemoya, it's only Levavchem V'Nafshechem, your heart and your soul. In Vahafta, first is mentioned by the study of Torah, and then the practice of mitzvahs. In Vahayim Shemoya, first is the practice of the mitzvahs, and then is the study of Torah. In the first one, there's just mention about what we need to do, the commandment. There's no mention at all about reward or punishment. In the second one, in Vayem Shemoah, indeed it says, if you will follow, if you will do, I'm going to give you all the blessing. Fourth question, the third one speaks in singular form. Levavcha, Nafshecha, Moedecha, your in singular. In Vayem Shemoya is Levavchem, Nafshechem. It's all in plural. So we said that where those Torah portions are is also indicative. Vahafta is found in Parshat Va'etzchanan. Va'etzchanan we speak where Moshe Rabbeinu is asking to see the godly, infinite revelation stemming from God's mercy, a gift from God. V'hayam Shemoya is found in Parshas Ekev. What is the discussion in Ekev? There we're talking about the heel, man's personal effort, and the godly revelation which is resulting from his hearing. As we say, V'haya Ekev Tishma'un, hearing, which means internalized commitment and developing a relationship with Hashem. My doing and the result from our effort. It's not just about us, but the effect on the world is a very different one. If the redemption, if God's revelation is like a vision, meaning we see God and it's God's doing, then the nations who opposed Israel would have had their hostility utterly removed. As it says, all the inhabitants of Canaan are melted away. Terror and dread fall upon them. They're fearful of the great light they see. So they disappear. They stop being opponents. But they haven't been changed. When in Ekev, where it's my doing, my transforming the world, my own effort, there it is a transformation of the world. And what happens then? As the Pasuk says, you shall be blessed above all peoples, meaning that even Israel's adversaries would bless and praise her because they also have been transformed. Now, what does it have to do with the difference that we mentioned earlier between singular, plural, Shema first, Torah first, and then mitzvahs? Your might, your soul, etc. So let us see what it says. The first is addressed to the individual. Why? Because we are speaking of the revelation of God, which reveals His oneness to our oneness, to the Yechidah, to the oneness. So it's an experience of oneness of God within the oneness of me, which is an amazing, powerful, godly, great revelation. But it's a vision. It's not my doing. But it affects also my entire being, because I'm completely overwhelmed by this godly revelation. Whereby in V'hayam Shemoya, the second paragraph, which is all about our doing, we're talking about within the human situation. And it speaks in plural. Why? Because it speaks to the community. For it's addressing man's diversity. Each one is different. We're not talking about touching the essence of the Jew, but we're talking about the actual work of the individual, his heart and his soul. On that level, we can't talk about the infinite might, Because we're talking about his personal experiences. Although maybe it's not as powerful, but it is more personal. It's more me. And then the transformation of the world is such that the whole world recognizes the oneness of God. When we're talking about the godly revelation, first thing is Torah, because that's what God reveals us. And then we start acting. But if it's about my doing, then first I do. First I commit. First I engage. And then I study. As we said, Nase v'nishma. I do and I will study. This is the differences between the Shema and Shemoya. But at this note, God, we want to hear and see. We want to hear the sound of the shofar of Mashiach, and we want to see the Beis HaMikdash in Yerushalayim rebuilt now.